The issues discussed on the Roll Call Room podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. Any characters discussed on this show may be fictional for comedic value unless you're a shitbag Steve. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the podcast that changed the game and rocked an entire profession. Talking about shit in law enforcement that keeps poor leaders up at night. When others run scared and hide behind fake policies, the Roll Call Room podcast tells it like it is. No bullshit. No matter how hard these Steves try, we keep killing it. And now, here are your hosts, Nick and Mark.
I really didn't think it would be that bad. Oh,
and that's how babies are made, Mark. Yeah, so, hey, everyone. Welcome to an episode of the Roll Call Room. I am one of your hosts, Nicka-Licka-Ding-Dong. With me is my wonderful co-host, Mark. How are you doing, buddy?
The one and only. I'm doing good. How are you this morning?
Doing good, man. You know, just before we hit record, we were laughing at each other about age catching up with us, our bedtimes.
Yes.
So I guess we'll be vulnerable to people and tell them what our normal bedtimes are now and how shameful it is.
I don't think it's shameful. It's when you're tired, rest. You know, how many years did we deprive ourselves of sleep?
100%.
And why are we shaming ourselves now for sleeping?
Because it's embarrassing. Like,
not really.
You go to bed and I go to bed at the time where we would go in to work. Like,
you're right.
Yeah, like, well, yours is a little later than what you normally. What was your normal midnight shift?
We work 6P to 6A.
Okay, so for us on our midnight shift was 8 to 8, so 8:30 roll call, but you had to be in at 8.
Okay.
And daylight's never fucking logged in on time.
No.
Or by the time they got their bagel, the newspaper, they lollygagged, and the daylights was the biggest scam.
Why did they have you at 8? Is that so the day shift guys could, you know?
Well, we had a swing. When I first got there, we had an evening shift. The evening shift left at 1:30 in the morning because ultimately I moved from midnights to evenings because it was the best shift because you got the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
You got a little bit of the afternoon craziness, and then you got a lull to get your work done, and then you got a bit of the midnight bullshit. And then just as shit was about to kick off a third time, it was like, see ya.
We're out, boys. Let us know how's it working out for you.
I mean, unless there was some like major kicking off, you were getting off on time every single time.
Okay.
On daylights, it was a 50-50 chance. On midnights, it was a 25% chance you were getting off on time. And when I became a midnight sergeant, that was one of the things that I really tried to focus on was getting my folks off on time. and so like I would go to headquarters during the morning's roll call, and I would go in there and be like, let's go wrap it up.
Yeah.
Nothing happened last night. This roll call should not be an hour long.
Right.
And it's mostly because their roll call is like this show. It's just two old people rambling on, you know.
It's all our generation's fault, Nick.
It is. That and, you know, their roll call is bitter.
Exactly.
I guess we should dive into that first, even though this is our Friday the 13th spooky episode.
Yes.
Spookier than being in the chief's office on your knees.
So yeah, if you're in there on your knees, you're asking for a promotion or a specialty job.
Hands on the desk means you're about to have a directive named after you. But
right.
I think with this show, we get a lot of feedback from people. New officers, older officers, retired officers that have been through what you and I have been through. We get feedback, and I think we do a little bit of self-reflecting. Typically, like, you'll get feedback, you'll tell me about it, and then I'll curse for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, fuck them, and and then I do
We're
a
all
little bit
negative
of
again.
yeah. And then,
Sorry.
then I do some self-reflecting, and I think it's not just from one person. I've heard it from quite a few, particularly from my old department, right at the rank of lieutenant, mostly in the recruiting department, that we sound bitter, and that
Yes.
these incidents that happen with you and I are 2+ years old, and
Get over it.
yeah, I gotta, and I do a lot of self-reflecting because I travel a lot now for work, and I get time to sit and think about things. And I think the answer to that is go fuck yourself.
You were reading my mind.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's kind of like a relationship. You put a lot into a relationship. You're fully in it. You got long-term plans. You want to fuck out some babies, and you want to do all this stuff, and
fuck them out.
And then your significant other just fucking destroys your soul. Destroys it. And would you tell that person, like, you're so bitter. You're so bitter. Move on. Why would you? To a certain extent, I agree with the criticism, but majority I don't, because unless you've gone through what we've gone through,
exactly,
you don't understand. And if your whole career was sunshine and roses and you had a great department, God bless you.
Yeah,
good for
absolutely.
you. I'm so happy for you, because the reason why this show has been so successful and continues to be is because we're not catering to that small, and when I say small, I mean really small demographic of people that go into work every single day, and they're having the fucking best time of their life, and they're running and gunning, and they have great bosses. No, we're not catering to them. We're catering to the ones that seriously have the same problem. And until it gets fixed, yeah, I'm going to continue to keep posting on social media. Yeah, I'm going to continue to keep posting articles about how shitty your department is. Yeah, I'm going to continue to keep pointing out that this is not a good place for new officers to go work.
Right.
That's a mission that and my favorite recently, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark, because I got diarrhea in the mouth this morning. My favorite was somebody from my former department, lieutenant over there. It's been 1,322 days and 14 hours and 17 minutes, and
when he had the retirement clock on, when he put that date in,
like let it go. No,
sure.
See, you don't understand. You don't understand. I'm never gonna go away. I'm never gonna stop, because as long as I could keep one ass out of the academy for you, that's a success for me.
Right.
And the more you keep posting, the more I know I'm occupying headspace. And that, to me, gives me a chuckle in my heart. Well, you're grinding out for 25 years trying to make pennies and crumbs. I'm over here, bro.
Making bank.
I'm making fucking bank. Like millions. All right. So go fuck yourself. Like, that did nothing. Like, it just made me laugh, because that particular incident, all it did was just erupt a whole new, it actually invigorated me.
A whole new bitter side of you.
Yeah, it was like
it polished another facet of your bitter diamond.
it made me smile from ear to ear, because the other piece to that is that that they're listening, because now at my old department they put a suicide memorial up for officers that have committed suicide, which I think is the most hypocritical fucking thing in the world, because the cause of some of those has been the fucking
the management
leadership. Yeah. And here's the best part. They don't even have all the names on the fucking memorial.
Good
So you can't even
God.
do that right. You put 2 names on a suicide memorial.
Well, the 2 guys they liked, but the rest of them that killed themselves, they didn't put them on there
It's
because they didn't like them.
Or option 2 is that the family refuses to allow them to do it because
that's
either
true.
they had a bad experience with the department, and I know this for a fact. One of them had a very bad experience when it happened, because just like my old department, and as much as I don't want to give them any credit, they're not alone. Every department out there, when there's a law enforcement suicide, they put their head in the sand, they act embarrassed, and they don't address it. I happened to be there when one of the officers committed suicide.
That's tough.
And
man.
it was a taboo thing to discuss. They treated his team not very well. They didn't get them the help that they needed. There was a lot of aggression. There was a lot of infighting about what his funeral should be like. Should he have any full honors? Just vile things. And then you spit on him by putting his name on a memorial. Like, that is...
Yeah. So let me ask you something. At your former agency, did they have a plan?
No.
Did they have a so I come to you, I'm your officer, I'm like, hey Sarge, I'm fucked up. I gotta do something. I gotta see some. Did that trigger anything at that department?
No, when I was a sergeant, I was just as guilty. I didn't know.
Yeah, so was I. But that was decisions that was above my pay grade, and
Right.
Through a recent interview I had on the Shield Within, we were talking with Bill Mazer and Joe Collins from Acadia Healthcare, and they were talking about, does your agency have a plan? Pre-planning. We pre-plan everything, right? SWAT. What do you do with a barricade? What's the policy? Do you have a policy in like Joe's vernacular? We have a policy, or Bill rather, where to put your name tag on your shirt, right? And how to wear your shit on your uniform, right? So what's your policy on if you have an officer in trouble? And what they said, the time to create that policy is not when you're in the middle of the crisis. Let's get this ahead of time, and let's. You know how much energy it took for me to go tell my boss I needed to take FMLA? We had a double fatal motorcycle accident that I worked, and this couple that was my wife and I's age were just out for a beautiful fall Sunday afternoon bike ride. We had Indian summer here in Ohio, and this old woman ran that light like it was her fucking job and killed them both. I mean, they were just it was horrific, and it's right up the street from my house. And
what happened after that happened? What was your department's reaction after that horrific scene?
Absolutely nothing. I couldn't sleep after that, Nick. I didn't sleep for like 4 days. So I went in and I took my FMLA, and I said, and this is when I knew I was already in therapy, and I'm like, I gotta get this out of my system. And my therapist says, you can take FMLA for 30 days. So I did. And
you must not know what I do.
yeah, exactly. So here's the kicker of the whole thing is that I took that month off to unfuck my head, and I never even thought about my investigation, never even give it a second thought. And the detective and made a note, or part of his report was, well, Mark the cop took off because it was getting hot in here. I'm thinking, you cocksucker motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, I could have killed that man literally, for putting that in there. I'm thinking, here I'm trying to keep a gun out of my mouth, and the only thing you're worried about is this bullshit investigation you people are trying to throw together. Fuck you people. So when you're talking about, oh, just let it go. Well, let me tell you something about just let it go. If and you compared it to a relationship, and that's not fair comparison. Because in a relationship that you end, it's over. Your former lover doesn't go back and try and keep you from earning money. Your former lover doesn't call your potential next employer and say, oh, well, he should be put on the red flag list, and he's crazy and has outbursts of blah, 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 blah. But, a former lover doesn't do that. A former police department will. They like to fuck with you and inhibit your ability to earn. And afterwards, it's like, they're like, well, just go away. Yeah, I would love to just go away, but you people keep fucking with me.
Yeah.
So where we have the ability to turn on a microphone and to educate people beyond our bad experiences, and it's not to, and I appreciate the fact that you're like, I want to keep an ass out of there. Or if you're going to go work there, you're going to go in there with your eyes wide open.
Go educated.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
educated.
You're going to go in
Yeah.
there knowing this place is a shithole. It pays the least. You got crap management, so when there's other better places to go there instead.
Well, and Mark, I'm I know that they're going to be listening to this because why not?
Well, then good morning, gentlemen. Hey, welcome to the Roll Call Room podcast. Want some
your
merch?
couple. I'll send you free stickers. I'm going to let them in on a little secret. So, fairly recently, and when I say fairly recent, I say we're probably within the last 2 months.
Yeah,
I've had 3 people reach out on the gram from my old department that have under a year and a half in the department. I don't know who these people are. I've never met them, but they sure know who I am. And these people that have reached out send me messages and say, "Hey, you are 100% fucking right about this place. The moment I can get the fuck out of here, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here."
I'm hitting the road, Jack.
So so Lieutenant over there, keep doing more coffee with cops.
Yeah.
Keep doing your fucking photo ops that you do every time you take somebody laterally because you duke them into thinking. Listen, you can sell somebody ice in the winter, but eventually they're not going to be repeat customers,
right?
And that's your fucking big problem. And you bring up a really good point, which I didn't even think of, which is this.
Mm-hmm.
The bitter part comes from had I have separated from my department, they gave me my retirement credentials and I walked away and it was a clean break.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe RCR wouldn't exist anymore. Right. Maybe I would have gone away. But after that clean break, then there was harassment on social media. Mm-hmm. Then there was creating of fake Facebook accounts. Then there was invading our Facebook lives.
Stalking,
then there was
bro.
Yeah,
they were stalking.
Then they were making Photoshop pictures of me with a GoPro and all this other stuff. And then when I couldn't get a job, then finally when I got my top secret background clearance done, then it all came out that every time a potential employer would call over there, they would break the law, break federal law, and tell them this, and this. And it isn't just me, because there's quite a few, but there's one in particular where there was an officer that left there. Same dickhead from internal investigations that did me bad, did him bad. He resigned. He decided to go down to Florida, go try and get a job as a cop. He all lined up, getting the job. Chief calls over there. They tell him all of this vile shit. He hires an attorney. The attorney sends a cease and desist letter out. This goes between the city attorney and his attorney, and the city attorney is like, "What the fuck is all that? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, this department can't be stupid enough to do this." And of course, the department goes, "Yeah, well, when they called, we told them this, this, and this." And she's like, "Are you fucking retarded? Like, are you stupid?"
Yes, they are.
So he gets a letter from the city attorney's office saying that going forward, any background checks will go straight to the city attorney. When the city attorney has to take the ability for background checks away from a department, there's a fucking problem.
Exactly.
There's a problem.
So how do you get over that? Think about, you loved being a cop.
Loved it. Best job in the world. Best job in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, it's best job in the world. So it took all the energy to end the career that I love. My daddy always told me, pick a job you love, you never go to work. So you come up with you start playing your options. You're in this poker game and your hand is really beginning to suck. Mm-hmm. Not only are you going to lose this round, but now you're going to go into the red. You're going to go into the negative. So you've made the personal decision it's time to exit, because there's forces outside our control. For some reason, on this day, at this time, they've decided, it seems as if they have a dartboard of faces in their office, and they just threw a dart, and they're like, yep, today's the day we're going to fuck old Mark the cop. Okay, cool. Well, I'm not aware of what's going on. So the fucking's coming. So your best strategy is from this point forward. So cop time is over. And how much energy and how much soul-crushing energy is it going to be to leave the job you love the most?
Hardest decision.
Yeah.
Hardest decision.
110%. So you've not only have the shame and the heartbreak of leaving the job that you love. Look at the retirees that work 33 years on the job and then turn around and take a reserve whatever job, deputy's job or a court's job. They're still carrying a badge and wearing the uniform. Why? You've done it for 33 years. Well, I'm going to do it for 36 years, or I'm going to do it for 40 years, or, in some of these cops around the nation, I see where the guy's like 74 and I've been a cop for 50 years. Hey, good for you, bro. And if you can do it and that agency maintains that,
good for you.
Yeah.
Good
awesome.
for you.
I don't have the body for it anymore. But okay, so we take all that energy it was to leave the career you love. Now you've made that decision, and now we're trying to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm trying to have a job. I'm trying to provide for my family, only to be turned down from not one, not two, but how many jobs did you go through before?
Six.
What the fuck is going on? 6.
And I'm going to jump in. 6.
Yeah, go ahead, bud.
And while that was happening, repoed my cars, my mortgage. I was about to foreclose on my fucking house.
Yes. Yeah, you're losing everything.
My world was crashing down on top of me. And all I was trying to do was get another job, and it didn't matter what at one point it didn't even matter what job it was. While I was waiting for my top secret clearance, I even applied for a security guard job. You know how much of a hit to my ego that was?
Yes.
And so when you sit there and you say it's been 2,100 and some odd days, get over it. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
You didn't have to fucking go through that. If your little fucking house with your 2 kids and your fucking wife, if it happened to you, you'd be doing the same fucking thing, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I wrote this down while you were talking. You want me gone from your department, but you still want me to stick to your social media policy. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Times 10.
So 6 o'clock in the morning, bro. I'm fired up already. Because
well, I'm not laughing at you. It's just like pouring kerosene on a fire.
I think this happened like a month ago. It happened a month ago, and I wasn't angry about it. I chuckled. I laughed, and even there's a parody recruitment video that our folks here made, which is absolutely hilarious. Former people from the department are like, "Hey, did you guys make this thing?" And I was like, "May have, may not have. I don't know." And it
does
just
the Fifth Amendment apply?
Yeah. And listen, it all boils down to this. The reason why you're angry about it, and the reason why you don't want me posting articles about you commanders suing each other inside of the department for discrimination and bias and all this other stuff. It's, first of all, it's an embarrassment to an agency that you have commanders suing each other. You can't do a promotional process without suing each other. The chief is a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's almost worse than the moron that I got removed. I gift wrapped the chief job to somebody external that could come in there and fix the damn thing, and they give it to this fucking idiot, this fucking smile and wave moron with no fucking brains. And now they're all pissed off because this guy can't make a fucking decision. He's absentee. And listen, I can't keep helping you. But the other thing is that I'm not going to adhere to your social media policy. I'm not going to turn around and not speak about it.
That policy is for paid employees. Hey, guess what, Jack? We ain't paid no more, so you ain't my boss no more.
And here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I have no obligation. I'll finish your sentence. I have no obligation. And here's the deal. I'm going to peel back the curtains and let you in on another secret there, Lieutenant, and the other folks that are listening from the department. Your department had the opportunity to shut RCR down because the deal that I made with the dickhead chief that I had removed was give me my retirement credentials that I earned. I spent over a decade with the department. I earned my retirement credentials and I go away. You don't ever fucking hear from me again. He made the choice. He made the choice for your entire agency. And I made the same offer to this current chief when he took over. Day 2, I sent him an email. Still have it. And I said, hey, you're a pastor. This is your opportunity to make things right. Make it right. I'm not asking to come back. I'm asking for you to sign my retirement paperwork. Let me get my retirement creds. And that's the end of that. Fucking ghost.
Not a word.
Never heard from me. Never heard. So here's the deal. I printed my own fucking retirement creds. It's this. So go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Fucking Friday the 13th, baby. I hope you're listening to this while you're taking your fucking 2 little fuck trophies out for Halloween trick-or-treating. Oh, wait, that's Halloween. That's not Friday the 13th.
Yeah, they're driving to work listening to this, so.
Yeah, he's like,
and we are being
driving.
listened to, by the way.
Oh, totally.
My former agency, I learned, is listening. So, good morning.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. That's
Just
right.
the tip.
Had another one walk out the door the other day. They did. In a 20-man department, you lose one guy. That's pretty substantial.
And the funny thing is with all the FOIAs that I filed, since I left, 85 people have left the 305-man department. Is it really me? Is it really me being bitter? Is it really me that's exaggerating all of the stuff that happened? Look up top. All of these
books
are bestsellers.
Yeah.
Still in the top 100 after 3 years.
Yeah.
For a fucking reason. Because thousands of people buy these books and they read them and they go, you know what? It's not just Alexandria City. It's not just Tip City. It's from Canada all the way down and all the way across the world. So if you're tuning in and the first couple of episodes you listened, you're like, man, these guys are so fucking bitter. You have to know the backstory. You have to know the backstory. You know, the guy humping calls for service, he can't talk like this.
Right.
And you and I have said it multiple times. If you think that you have the freedom to say what you want to say in your department, I said this many episodes, Mark, go into roll call and just test it out. Put your little toesies in the water. Go into roll call, and when you get your cruiser assignment, you turn around and you go, hey, Sarge, I'm not really a big fan of that car.
Right.
Try small. See what happens.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go against the grain. Pet the dog against the fur line sometime and see how that works out for you. Because the minute you start pushing back is the minute things start happening for you, and not in a positive way. That specialty assignment, that's not up for grabs anymore. You want that good shift, that's not up for grabs anymore.
No.
I know you wanted days, but here we're going to put you on 3 to 11s because fuck you.
Yeah. Show me. My favorite was show me that you're ready for this. Show me.
Oh man, that must be in
me.
Yeah, that must be in the Toxic Manager Handbook.
Yeah.
Show me you're ready. I love the ones this department already had a canine program established. And this one guy, man, I want to be the next canine. They're like, okay, well, go out and do some research on why we need to have a canine. And I looked at the guy and I said, we were having coffee at Circle K. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And he's doing all this research. I said, they're giving you busy work, dude. Keep you distracted. And he went, what? And I said, bro, they have a fucking program already. They've had it for 10 years. What are you doing?
They it's funny. This is why I love you, Mark, because when you're talking, and again, I'm just going right back to my old department. So I'm on social media because, I post articles all the time. They make any Facebook or social media post.
Yeah.
It's been a while because I actually have a job and I got shit to do, you know?
Right.
And plus I like, it's a mind fuck. You know, you do it for a little bit, then you stop, then you do it, then, you know, back.
Yeah, they think you quit. And then
Yeah.
Here it goes.
Lieutenant's like, I got him. No, you didn't. So I'm looking, and there's this new team now. Like, I forgot what the name of it. Like, I don't know, ass fuckers. I don't know what the fuck it is. Anyway, and
Are they the Scorpions like in Memphis?
Oh, dude, oh my god. And so I reach out to one of my folks I still talk to, and I go, "What is this team?" And he's like, "Oh, they took the old cops unit that you were in charge of, the community policing unit, and they renamed it like the Community Action Team or some shit like that."
Oh, good Lord.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? And he goes, "Nick, they are literally taking all of your ideas that you came up with, the original ideas, brushing them off and making it seem like it's a brand new fucking idea."
Hey, you said you're the OG.
Listen, and anybody that Googles me, aside from the articles about my old department and the books, you'll know that when I worked in community policing and when I was the sergeant of community policing, I went to multiple award ceremonies, national award ceremonies for ideas on combating crime and community policing techniques. It's not a mystery. So I've always been community policing driven, but I've also always been, I'll lock you up. I wasn't one of those hug a thug folks that were like, oh, they don't need to go to jail. They need a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No, they need somebody to beat them with a stick is what they need.
Yeah. And that's the other reason why you and I can't be cops anymore, is because I couldn't do it, man.
Hey, I would whip a guy's ass and put him in the back of the car, and then I'd sit there and talk to him. I said, dude, why do we have to get to that fucking point, bro? Why couldn't you just stopped? Why do we have to go that way, bro?
Well, and see, again, you spark always things in my head. So I'm talking to this officer who has body cams, one particular brand. It's one of the popular brands, and you and I talked about this a couple phone call conversations ago.
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I couldn't do the job now, because this particular brand started this year, or maybe it was last year, so don't quote me on this, folks. Your body cam now, your sergeants and above, or whoever has authorization, can now dial into your body cam remotely and watch it live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no longer waiting for it to load up to the cloud or for you to bring it in and download it. If they get an itch in their ass and they want to jump in your shit, or you're just on the radar, or you have a podcast that they don't really like,
they're going to try and gather intel on you by turning your camera on remotely.
So, like,
how much Big Brother do we need, gang? How much? When's enough?
But here's the thing: is like, there's nothing stopping that from happening. Like, you have the IACP ordaining all of this stuff and being like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know, the IACP has their circle jerk. I think it's this week or next week, or when it's sometime this week. And I go on there and I look at what their agenda is. There's no Mark or Nick's or Scott's or Travis Yates. There's none of us going there and having
not there either, is he?
Gross. They're not going to touch fucking Grossman with a 10-foot pole. Shit, I got a better chance than Grossman does. And here's the thing: is if you're really forward thinking IACP, you would invite somebody, or fuck, I'll do it pro bono the first time. Invite Mark and I out there, block us for an hour, save a conference room, count the seats. If they're all empty, failure. If they're not and they're full, you might be onto something. Because if and this is where I get pissed off at places like IACP, No Help, other places that lobby for money, donations, grants.
Oh, here
what
we go.
What are you doing with that money? What are you doing with that money?
Now you're lighting my fire, but finish your
Purposely
thought.
did it. I purposely did it.
You prick.
Like, if you're raising all of this money, you should be holding your own conferences. You should be like Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia does a health and wellness conference every year. I spoke at it last year. Good buddy of mine spoke at it this year. Yeah. So they invited me last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. I was a keynote speaker there.
That's awesome.
I signed a bunch of books, but it was a phenomenal thing. This guy, this guy Chris, he was in charge of putting the conference. He's done it year after year after year, and it's strictly just a conference on officer wellness and health. That's all it is. A bunch of speakers get up there, a couple of nerd doctors get up there, they critique shit, and it's very interesting. If you're not doing that as a state or as a county or municipality, I don't know what you're doing. And if you're an organization that takes grant money, I want to see where that grant money's going. Just like when I look at tax returns.
Yes.
Yeah. Just like when I look at tax returns of organizations that are fucking like lobbying, we're all for preventing law enforcement suicide. Well, you're not doing a really great fucking job because it's been consistently increasing every fucking year. And in the job I'm in right now, after the second year of an increase in data, you're not going to have a job anymore.
Exactly.
Like, you making pretty graphics ain't working.
Yeah. and this is where they're failing. So I'm sorry. Was you completed there with your thought?
Oh, I was.
I'm like Mount Vesuvius.
Just trying to fire you up. I know.
oh, you got it. You got my heart rate up. So, we've had a past couple of conversations, and we did an interview, another one on the Shield Within, because we're building content for when I go to Florida. And I got angry after this interview because this person,
you called me.
Oh man, was I mad! I was fired up for 2 days after that.
You know how I know you're angry is when you and I text, even though we're old, we text a lot, and you go, "Can I just call you? Because this is too much." And I go, "Oh, this is going to be fucking good."
You probably told your wife, you're like, "I'm going to take a shit and talk to Mark."
Yeah. It's kind of like, hey, can we just fuck instead of doing what we're doing right now?
Yeah, skip the foreplay. I just want to grind one out.
How much more are we going to rub on each other? Let's get the show on the road. Simpsons is on.
The Simpsons. Oh my God. So anyway, I'm going to give a shout out to our friends at Save a Warrior, Mr. Jay Clark, and what Jay Clark said when the gang at Saul. So if you have extra money, throw it their way because they're professional beggars. Do it for free, do it for fun, and do it for free. Stop a transactional relationship, and this is where I have a problem with law enforcement, mental health. Everyone wants to have a transactional relationship. Okay, you and I got into this job because we just said this is the best fucking job in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of being the best fucking job in the world is you get a decent retirement, decent, not great, decent, and you get health care. Part of your health care package should include mental health services, and you shouldn't have to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop to get through to mental health. You shouldn't have to go to your boss and say, "Boss, I'm ready to eat my fucking gun." They should be for free. They not free, but they should not be any cost to the member. And if you're serious about police suicides, and we talk about this all the time, still the number one killer. We kill ourselves more than any other thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we doing it for free? And why isn't this case? Because I've recently learned through our talk with our friends on a Windmill Wellness Ranch in Texas. Hello, Erica and Shannon. Why is the state of Ohio, and I don't know about the Commonwealth, but the state of Ohio is like 50 of 50 states as far as mental health for officers. And they like to talk a lot. "Oh, no, we're not. We give you resources." My worst Mickey Mouse voice. Yeah. And I say that because I was had a class last week, and one of the officers, remember the bus crash with the illegal alien that killed the little boy on the first day of school?
Yeah.
This officer was the second one on scene, and it's fucked them up.
Mm.
And I'm talking to them, and I'm like, you really need to, you should consider, going and talking to somebody. And they said, "Well, why do you think I need to do that?" And I said, because I just mentioned this is the third time you've talked about it. So,
Yeah,
so
it's
I took
pertinent.
10 minutes with them and we really had a good talk together. They didn't have the resources. Why? Why don't you have the resources? And it's nothing negative against the officer. And they didn't have the resources because the people that's giving the message are so off base. I go
Mhm.
talk to the chief. Well, that's fucking great. I'm glad you go talk to the fucking chief because let me tell you something. That person is not the conduit to me that's pushing a fucking radio car around on midnights. If you
Yep.
want to talk to me directly. And here in the state of Ohio, if you have your state agency, you have the ability to recognize or to be able to access all of the certified police officers within the state. Why don't you just do direct marketing?
Yeah.
And I don't know if marketing's the right thing, but it should be free. It should be a list of resources. You should be able to go somewhere, let's say a website. And I'm not just bitching on the roll call room. I have every intention of taking the person in charge of that program out to lunch and talking to
Yeah.
them and saying, hey, look, I'm angry because of this reason. So we need to be able to connect with those people directly. And, how many agencies have we talked to that when we're all saying the same thing, but yet we're still having a high amount of police suicides? And, it's the stigma, number one, the
Mhm.
energy and the shame of saying, hey, my job is to fix shit. I can't fucking fix me and I don't know why. So here, I'm going to take my 1 or 2 beers a night that I used to go to sleep. Now they're 8 to an 18 pack. I'm going to start fucking around, or I'm going to start doing drugs. I'm going to take some opiates. I'm going to start gambling. That
Mhm.
these addiction things, because everyone says, why'd you want to be a cop or a firefighter? Because I'm an adrenaline junkie. How many times
Yeah.
you heard that? I love
Yeah.
being on the front line. I want to be the first in. I want to, yeah. I'm on SWAT. I do this, that, and the other because I love I love the excitement. I love the adrenaline dump. So now we're taking those addictive behaviors and we're turning them into self-destructive things. So my point is, the job fucks us up. Why isn't the job providing, and not a transactional relationship? They're not providing this. And I'm going to take it one step further. When you're in the academy, you should be making those relationships. You should be talking about serious talk, not, here in Ohio, we do a thing called Blue Help, which is good. It's something. Something is better than nothing. But do you really have a fucked up guy like me or Nick standing in front of the classroom saying, let me tell you something about suicide? We've taught this class. We've had a good time. My class laughs a lot because I think that humor is the best form of teaching, because when you're having fun, you're staying engaged, right? So you
Mhm.
have a guy up here that turns the page and says, look, I woke up one day and had my fucking gun in my mouth. Oh, by the way, did I mention that I just got done with an honor guard detail and I thought it'd be really cool to turn my head turned into a canoe in my honor guard uniform? And the whole class went, what?
Mhm.
Yeah, have a guy like you and I standing up there, not some guy that's teaching a lesson plan that could give a fuck. Okay, because
Yeah.
that's how it comes off. And I asked him, I said, yeah, I know. I was running and gunning for 9 fucking years before my shit turned. And you're good until you're not. And then
Mhm.
the next thing about it, how many of us are bringing childhood traumas onto the job because they want to help people? Is that resolved before you get started? Did you sit down when you're having that, and it's a good, honest conversation? We're going to quote our friend Jay Clark again. The problem with most things is everyone refuses to have a good, honest conversation
Mhm.
and say, you know what, I'm fucked up. I got into this job because I want to help people. I want to help people because when I was that little kid, this happened to me. And I don't
Yeah.
ever want that to happen to anybody else. But did I resolve that trauma? No, I didn't. I buried it like we do everything else with first responders and type A's, right? So now let's add 5 or 10 years of more fucking trauma. And
Mhm.
here's the shit show you got. So we're not having that honest conversation. We're not having that trauma resolution, and just sit down with a therapist and do an eval. I mean, we're not going to deny you the job. We need to cultivate that asset. So if we could sit down or better yet, do that early brain scan. Hey, I want to be a cop. I'm going to scan your head. We got some things we need to resolve first.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So can it be resolved? Sure, Absolutely, they can. And what Dr. Molly Hall said was, by the time first responders get to my office, they should have been here 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That is, and ask any therapist or any psychiatrist, they all tell you the same thing. So I'm going to wrap this up real quick. So we need to have early intervention, and it all needs to be free, not free, no cost to the member. I mean, if
Right.
you're going to pay, if you're going to go out, Blue No Help, and solicit money instead of doing poker runs, why aren't we funding these things? Why aren't we funding this? And why do we have a number? Okay, I'm number 007 just for the James Bond thing. So I can go in and I can anonymously register if I choose to. I have all these lists of podcasts that are pro mental health, like the Roll Call Room and whatever else. And just like they have a dating app, why don't we have an app for mental health professionals? And it's nationwide. You can do telehelp with them. But I can tell you here in the state of Ohio, when Dr. Molly Hall told me, was that every state has their regulations, because if you're in Ohio, she can't treat Nick from Virginia because she has an Ohio license. Why isn't there a national license for these people? If you seriously want to get behind it, listen to me, chiefs of police out there, OACP, FBI, and all you guys, why isn't there a national? And this is something that's reaching outside our industry and into the mental health realm, is have that national license to where you can dial in anywhere, and you have this app and say, hey, I like that guy, and and that therapist have a little bit of a brief video introduction, and then click on it. And then what I told, or what Dr. David and I were talking about from the Shield Within, was that, have that 15-minute freebie, be on that person's books already, and have it paid for by another entity. And that's it. I'm going to take a breath.
Well, and I mean, you definitely
I was rolling, right?
I let you go, man. I was like, he's rolling.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
I think
if
to
you
answer
know that, comment on our Facebook page if you know the movie.
I think there's a couple of answers. It did. I think there's a couple of answers. The big one is the reason why these chiefs and the reason why the IACP are not addressing these issues is because staffing is a huge fucking hot topic right now. And they can't afford.
I'm sorry. Got to push pause right there, Nick. You got to push pause. Staffing. Okay. So I'm having a problem. I'm fucking around with my wife, or I'm drinking, or I'm calling in sick a bunch. So was that Sergeant, Lieutenant, Captain looking at Mark the Cobb saying, hey, brother, I just need to have a good, honest conversation with you. Let's put you off work. All right. I'm going to help you through this FMLA thing. We're going to send you down with a therapist. We want to unfuck you because we want to cultivate this asset. How much money was spent on you, Nick, as an officer? Academy, all your additional schoolings you went. Look at you, were an award-winning, very decorated, nationally accredited officer in your field, right? Think about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that city invested in you, and because your fucking head is scrambled eggs right now, we're just going to throw you out the door. Later, Tater. Out.
My current employer thanks you very, very much.
Yes. So why aren't we cultivating these assets and having an ongoing maintenance program? Because I can tell you right now, you're re-traumatized every day. Why aren't we sitting in? Why aren't we having these people? But because, there's the stigma. Oh, he's on the rubber gun squad. He goes to therapy. Pussy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue to talk.
Well, and I talk about this so many of our episodes, which is there's so many safe podcasts out there right now. I mean, just the other day, I'm on social media and I see 3 new law enforcement podcasts popping up.
Oh, here we go.
And God bless you. You want to do this, that's fantastic. But what's your content? What's your goal? And then I see organizations that are supposed to be supporting eliminating the stigma of getting help and reducing law enforcement suicides. Now they have a podcast, and it's dog shit. It's terrible. You're not appealing to the road dogs. You are not appealing to our demographic of people that need to listen to it. You're
Mhm.
appealing to officer wives, which is fantastic because they do need an outlet. We put them through a lot of shit. I get it. I understand it. But you need to restructure what you're doing. And what I love about you being on one podcast and then being on this one also is I always get to hear, people that you've interviewed and stuff like that. And I'm not picking on anybody that you've interviewed because everybody that you interview is solid. Any information you can get out there is fantastic. But when people come on, not just yours, other podcasts, and they say, well, I do this and I'm an expert in this and I raise money for this. I've never heard of you. And this is conversation when you and I get on the phone with each other. You're like, hey, I saw this organization that does this and this and this, and they're saying that they're the best in the field. And I go, have you ever heard of them? Because I've never heard of them before.
Right.
And
right.
I
If you're
always
so great, then why the fuck haven't I heard of you?
Yeah. And I always think to myself, when I was sitting on the edge of my bed with my gun in my hand, I didn't know about Blue No Help. I didn't know about Cop Line. I didn't know about all these things. And it wasn't because I was not in touch. It's because they do really terrible advertising, like you said, or they're not good at public relations, or their intentions are not pure. And this is no dig on any one of the ones that I named, sort of.
Except for Blue Help.
When you're taking in $300,000 plus a year, and then you go to this person's tax returns and they're shelling out salaries to people, and there's some questionable spending here and there as to where it's going.
Amen.
And you're not partnering up with, and listen, this is not an advertisement of Mark and I want to be invited to every conference. And I'll be very completely honest with you. I just don't have the time. I barely have the time to do these episodes. That's why they're so sporadic in releasing, because I got a full-time job, and it's a job that I
a lot of people
enjoy.
working for you.
I
virtually have your own police department working underneath you right now.
Multiple billions of dollars that I'm responsible for, multiple people that work underneath me, an entire eastern part of the country that I'm responsible for. It's a tremendous amount of responsibility. And here's the thing.
And it's ironic you're working for Adam and Eve.
I know. I can... You finally tell everybody where I work.
Literally can.
Now,
oh, sorry,
now,
I shouldn't have said that.
Now I'm canceling the lubricant that you asked me about before we hit record. Fuck your asshole. You can continue to chafe. Now you get nothing. And I'm canceling the blow-up doll that you ordered with my discount code.
Oh, you can't deny me inflatable Seika.
Yeah. Molly is not coming, and neither are you.
You get my age, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's just dust. But I digress. Which is that?
Sorry, I threw that in there.
No, it's hilarious. I think the thing about it is I'm always looking at, like, when you're boasting about how good you are, how good your organization is.
Right.
I've never heard of you before. And if I haven't heard of you, and we talked about this a couple days ago, like on Monday or Tuesday. And I said, Mark, I have never, ever turned around and said, or put RCR on a pedestal and said, we're the top. But I've been in the game way before a lot of these podcasts were around. I was doing a podcast while I was an officer, which is fucking suicide on its own. Now that I look back on it.
So all you new guys that want to do this, get off the job.
Yeah.
Or hang the mic up and do something really other than this.
Don't be naive. Like I barely listen to the old episodes, but when I do and I hear myself like so confident that nothing was going to happen, I'm like, boy, you were so naive.
Well, see, that's what attracted me to RCR initially, sitting there on midnights, and I fired up your podcast and I'm like, I love these guys. And you're like, fuck them. And I'm like, oh my God.
And the fun, I like to reminisce about the old days with original Mike. And I remember releasing all the episodes, and then like the 6th episode was when everything started to fucking close in. And it was interesting.
There with a flamethrower for so long.
It had to be addressed, and it was only because because Mike and I originally were like, if we get 150 people to listen to this thing, that's half of our department. That's how naive we were. That we were like, only people in our department will listen to it. But when overnight it was 6,000 plus,
yes,
I was like, holy shit. And then the department had no choice. They had to address it.
Yeah. Well, actually, they didn't have to. I mean, what they could have done, if the departments would, trust me, officers that are listening, especially our midnight crews out there, we appreciate you and love you. So there is half, if not more, the good chiefs and the good people are getting back into the job or getting into positions of management.
I hope so.
Sure, not everybody is a piece of shit. Not every one of them is a narcissistic acronym. But the ones you said they had to address it, and if they were truly officer first, and number one, if they were truly officer first, RCR would never exist. If they were truly taking care of their people. But say you have that narcissist mid-manager and the chief pulls you in and says, hey, Nick, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. I wish you would have used another venue. Mm-hmm. I really would appreciate it. Tone it down because I have a job to do here. Because if you don't tone it down, honestly, I'm going to back a dump truck up full of bricks and dump it on you. So there's your choice, all right? The message needs to be out there. I'll address what I need to address, and let's have a good, honest conversation. Again, honest conversation. Tell me about the mid-manager that's fucking you over, because I need to know this, because I'm not aware of it. And then you have that confident, honest conversation. Not one of these ones where tell me what I need to know, and then I'm going to tell them so they can continue to fuck you, which happens quite often. But if we have that honest conversation and that person is addressed to where they're not such a narcissist or such a fucking prick, then things move a lot smoother. Because remember, management, we know you're listening, happy officers are productive officers. If you're happy with your job, you're going to want to come in and do your job. And guess what? We've said this many, many times. I was your best recruiter when I was happy. And now that I'm unhappy, I don't give a shit if no one ever drops another application off at your department, because you know what, you can do it all yourself, and I'm
saving lives.
Team. Yeah, exactly.
I'm saving lives.
Yes. I'm saving suicide lives right now. I'm saving officers from themselves, because working for you makes people want to eat their gun, and that's the honest conversation. Seriously,
the interesting part about the Facebook comment that this lieutenant made, I looked at the 3 likes that he got on his comment.
And they all worked with him.
I had to die laughing, because one of them is now a retired lieutenant. He was my lieutenant at the time the podcast came out. Complete donut. Nobody respected the guy. Absolute idiot. And I remember being at FBI LEDA class with this guy, and people in the class, not from my agency, because FBI LEDA is all over the place. Mm-hmm. Somebody inside the room was like, that's Nick from the roll call room, and heads turned and were like,
that's Nick.
That's Nick. And so somebody turned around and said to my lieutenant, have you heard the roll call room? And he goes, I've said this a million times on the show. He said, I'm not going to listen to it, because then I have to do something about it. And it still stuck with me. There's not too many comments that stuck with me, but that's one of them. Yeah. And so he liked that comment. And he lives actually very close to where I live. So I'm dying to run into him someday. Not it's going to be embarrassing for his sake. But anyway, then there's 2 officers that liked the comment. One of them is an absolute moron, the worst police officer I've ever worked with, that I've ever supervised. But when I was a sergeant, guy dodged paperwork like fucking Superman. Like, he was one of those guys that would go lights and siren to a place, shake up the globe, and then as soon as somebody would come on, he'd go, all right, well, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
And he's moved around all over the place. He's in motors or some shit like that now. it's just you're not impressing anybody, buddy. I know more in this one fingertip than you'll ever know about law enforcement.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, you look like your mom dropped you when you were a baby.
Or daddy had you on his shoulders
that.
and walked into the wall.
Yeah. Everybody says that at the department about you. Just let you know. That's common knowledge. That's the big thing. They call you, what's that dude from Goonies? The fucking one,
Chunk?
The one with like messed up. Yeah, Chunk.
Yeah.
That's what they call you there. So, and that's what I love about not working for your department. I can say whatever I want as long as it's true.
That's right.
Your city already tried suing me about these books up here.
Yeah.
And they can't because it's true.
That's right. That's kind of the status I'm having with writing my book. I was really struggling with, do I do it based on a true story, or do I just tell the true story? But
yeah,
who knows? And when I'm basing it on is basing it. I can't talk this morning. Is how much court battle do I want in the future? So I think if I just sandbag just a little more, maybe this current chief will be out of office and he can go pound sand, because I think
the truth. I mean, the truth scares people, and I think the problem is when you can't control the narrative the way that you've controlled it all the time. People get desperate, and the comment on Facebook, I think, was a true tip of the hand of what your cards are, which is listen, if you don't know this by now, I talk to people within the department, and it's increasing. Newer officers are reaching out to me. You got a major problem on your hands, because a guy like me, that's dangerous, because I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And this isn't just like a ham radio show where Mark and I are in our basements and we're using walkie-talkies and we're communicating to 3 truck drivers.
Right.
This is a show that's been around for 3 years. It's got a strong base. It's got a big, huge following, and our voice carries. And like I said, I'm not looking to stop all of the people from applying at your department, but it's working, because a year ago they celebrated having, I think it was 30 recruits or somewhere in that neighborhood, 30 recruits that came out of the academy. Out of that, I think 8 or 9 stuck around. You got a problem on your hands.
Yeah,
you
that's
got a major.
huge.
Instead of you worrying about lieutenant, instead of you worrying about drinking the Kool-Aid and you turning around and worrying about what I'm saying, be the recruitment lieutenant and fix the fucking problem.
Hey, you go to all these leadership classes, they say be the change agent, be the agent of change within your department. But they're not doing that because they're stupid advisors. They're given the position, but they're not allowed to make decisions. And that all lays squarely within the chief's office. You know, so they had 30 recruits and 8 stayed. That is a deplorable number. And for the officers that's at my former agency, yeah, you guys got a healthy pay raise. Well, let me tell you something. Be sure to put that money back, because you're going to need it to pay your attorney. So that's all I'm going to say. Have your $10,000 put back. So when the day comes, it's not if. Look at the track record. Look at the people that are walking out the door. Listen to their stories. And someone said the other day, one of my town people I ran into, they're like, we don't know any of the officers anymore. Who are all these new people? I said, no, the bigger question is why are all these new people? Because I can tell you, my former agency, the only time people left, number 1 is a retirement. Number 2 is they got a better job at a agency south of Dayton, Ohio. So they generally left my department and went there. That's the only time anybody ever left. Period. Hard stop. Now it's a revolving door. And it's not because everyone's losing recruits. No. When you have a high-paying job with good equipment, why are people leaving? It's management. It's squarely within the chief's office.
They don't leave the job. They leave the people.
Exactly. That's why I left. As soon as I knew that guy was getting promoted, me and the other sergeant left. We're like, we're out of here.
I left because they fucked me. So I'm going to sum this up, which is this.
Well, we got our next pick. You can't wrap it up yet.
Oh, okay. What's the pick, bud?
Have you ever encountered a ghost, since it's Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
Scariest story on the job on Midnights. But anyway, go ahead.
So I think I repeated this story already, but I'm going to repeat it anyway because there's a lot of new listeners that come on.
Okay.
This was right when I was on Midnights. It was at the end of me being on Midnights. This actually was the reason why it was the end, and it's not what you're going to think it is. I was with a buddy of mine that I went to the academy with. We used to be very, very good friends. We're not friends anymore because he's now part of Command and drank the Kool-Aid, and he's a big boss now at another agency, and he just so. But we were best friends. We worked on Midnights together. We went on calls together. We were the thick as thieves. We hung out outside of work. Our families knew each other, all that stuff. And it was a late night. He had court. I had court the day before. We barely got any sleep, both of us, and we were butted up car to car to each other. And I said, hey, listen, you knock off for an hour or two. It was in the winter. It was freezing. I remember that. The heat's blasting. His window is up a little bit. Mine is up a little bit. He's nodding off. He's going. And I said, you do for an hour and then you watch me. That's what you do, folks. Yeah. There's nothing going on. We're not fucking off. We weren't bad officers. We were fucking heavy hitters. And so I'm just trying to keep busy. I'm fucking around. I had XM radio in the car, so I'm trying to find a station, and I'm playing on my phone, and I look across this major road, and then there's businesses all along there. And I'm like looking, and I'm squinting my eyes, and and I have good eyes, man. And I'm looking, and I'm I'm like, there's somebody breaking into the fucking sign shop.
No shit.
No fucking way. And so now your brain is like convincing you that that's not the case, that this is not a cop's moment. Like the fucking cop show, you're getting amped up, and you're like, this is my shit. This is where I grab a shotgun and I run across the road and I pump it, even though it should already have one in the chamber.
Yeah.
And I yell out, freeze, you motherfucker. and I'm getting all amped up, man. And I feel it right now. My adrenaline's like pumping up, thinking about it. And I'm like, this is my moment. I'm going to call a helicopter in. I'm going to get K9. We're going to get this motherfucker. And I'm watching, and this person is slowly looking back and forth into the window, into the business. Not even thinking to myself, who the fuck would break into a signage shop just before Christmas?
Right.
No one. And I'm like, here we go.
And what are you going to steal? Men's restroom signs.
Listen, when you talk about tunnel vision, and you're like, this is my moment. So I'm looking, and I'm like, should I wake him up? Like, what should I do? And it was like I turned to him and I go, hey, somebody's breaking into the banana sign shop. That's the name of it, banana shop. And he's like, no. And I'm like, I swear. I said, so he's like, he pulls up, and then so I get out. It's like a clusterfuck for us to get out of the car tactfully, And
well, you're doored up, so now you got to move your cars.
and it's the Crown Vic, so no matter how slow you go, it sounds like a John Deere lawnmower. So I'm like, I get out of the car. He gets out of the car. None of us put gloves on, so it's freezing fucking cold out. You got your gun out, and if you know about Glock, Glock. It's freezing because the top is metal, and you're like, we're walking across the thing. We're on the radio, and we're all excited, and we get closer and closer and closer, and it's a bush. It is a bush.
Blowing back
in
and
the
forth
wind, blowing back and forth. We're in the middle of our main street was, which was Duke Street. It was a main street. We stop in the middle of it. Again, it's like probably November or December around there. And the most embarrassing thing, you could hear sirens coming in the distance, and it's the most embarrassing thing to grab. Yeah. And holster your weapon. And he just turns and looks at me. Mark, it was the funniest thing. He turns, looks at me, walks away, gets in his car, and drives off.
And he probably did that versus pistol whipping you.
Yeah. We had car-to-car like messaging on the MDB. And I was like, what happened? Where'd you go? He goes, I don't want to hang out with you for the rest of the night. And I get again. So when we talk about like this job, those are the moments that make this job absolutely. It is the
so
greatest
epic.
job in the world. Yeah, it's
It
the
really
greatest job. And you like you tell that story to other folks that are not in law enforcement. They're like, huh.
Right.
But in law enforcement, you can relate because you're like, you understand what tunnel vision is. You understand the adrenaline. You understand your mindset thinks completely differently. And when you fixated that is what is going on, all other logic goes out. Like you said, what are you going to steal from a signage shop? If this person was breaking in, why are they the world's slowest fucking burglar in the world?
Exactly.
Like,
and where's their
these
car?
are all things after. Yeah,
Did
these
anyone
are
drop
all
them
things.
off?
Yeah, these are all things that, like, when I got in the car and I was trying to warm back up, I was like, idiot. This is going to be a funny story.
Everyone's had that stupid bonehead moment. I mean, it's just all a part of being on the job. I mean, I don't care how long you've been there. I mean, I've had my moments. We've all done that.
I would love to say that that's the only one, but there have been many of those moments where you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know, like, and we'll have to do an episode on like best call for service that you've done and worst or thing that you completely screwed up and you learned the most from. I've got quite a few of those, especially early on in your career. Anytime you screw up something and you can walk away from it and learn from it, and that's what I used to tell when I was a field trainer to my recruits. You want to limit them so that you're not in a body bag with that mistake. Right. I was very, very fortunate with two of them while I was very early in my career that I could definitely not be here right now because of a bonehead, stupid mistake that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. And the statute of limitations is over on some of the stuff that I can tell stories on.
So we can talk about it without having to worry about indictment again.
Yeah. So, the stuff that my department should have gotten me on.
Yeah. What was that? He who without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
So, my department. So this is my Halloween spooky story, and this is true. I mean, I do believe that there is an afterlife, and I believe that there's a dimension we are aware of here as earthly human beings, just because of my experiences throughout life. My office was the closest to the chief's office, and my former chief, God rest his soul, is Tom Davidson. Tom was a cancer patient, and he ended up dying in office. And in 2013, we gave him the absolute best honors because I was in charge of the honor guard then, and we sent him off right. So proud man. I mean, he's the reason why no one ever left because he was a true leader. So, but Tom loved the job, and Tom loved us. I mean, he was the type of person that he was kind of like our surrogate father. He was slow to anger, and he had his quirks. I mean, he wasn't the saint I try to make him out to be, but he had his quirks, and but he loved the job. And as part of the honors to him, they actually named that building, because we're in a separate building from the city building, even though they connected it, but that's the Davidson building, or it was anyway, last time I was in there. So, I got promoted. He promoted me in 2012. Excuse me. And then, I don't know, about 2014, I'm on midnight, so I started hearing noises in his office.
Oh, boy.
And anyone ever watches, or anybody that's into the paranormal knows that what's 3:00 in the morning. Do you know what it is, Nick?
No, I'm not. That shit scares me.
Okay. It's dead time. So it's the opposite of when Jesus died on the cross. Jesus died at 3:00 in the afternoon. 3:00 in the morning is dead time.
I don't like that.
You don't like that? Am I freaking you out?
That just freaked me out.
Well, we'll tap into the paranormal side here, so hopefully we get.
Thanks for the nightmare fuel.
That's why you're always up at 3 a.m.
Yeah. It's another reason.
It's like, what the fuck is going on in that office? So I get up from my desk and I walk around. I go back into Tom's office, and it was the other chief's office by this time, and I'm like, something's fucking in here. So I flip the light on. I'm looking around. I'm thinking, there's a mouse, there's a rat, something's back there clinking around, and nothing's moved. I'm like, yeah, something ain't right. You feel the cold, hairs up on the back of my neck. There's something in that room. There's a presence in that room. So fast forward, and I'm noticing this, and I'm thinking, I wonder if Tom's here. So, and he wore a white shirt, blue pants. I mean, he was the chief. So then I'm a coffee drinker. So at the time, I was still drinking like a fiend. So I made a pot of coffee, and I go up front, and the lights during the night, they shut off. So just the minimum lighting's on. You know, how you got like, you may have a fluorescent light with 4 bulbs in it, but at night, you know, for energy, they only have 1 on, the lights that are on all the time. So, and out of the shadows, I see this silhouette walking. It's a man in a white shirt, a gray hair man in a white shirt. So it's I'm like, so I'm not,
I don't like
I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. I know who it is now. Okay. So I'm like, all right, no problem. It's cool. So hey, Tom, how you doing? Fast forward, it's January. It's snowing like a motherfucker out. It's colder than a well digger's ass. Kelly, is in the back doing a report. It's 3:00 in the morning. I'm back in my office. I'm catching up the reports or whatever else I'm doing, probably stupid Lexapol stuff. And she lets out this blood-curdling scream. And I hear this.
Did she see my package on the internet?
I think you texted to her.
I did.
I think she called it the iguana, but that's a story for another show. It looked like an iguana laying in his lap. So she comes into my office, and all the color's out of her face. She's like, Sarge, someone's in the fucking building. And I went, what'd they look like? Skinny guy, gray hair, white shirt, blue pants. And I said, that's Tom.
You need to burn that place down.
And she, her jaw dropped. She's like, Tom who? I said, Tom Davidson. He's still in the building. He's here every night. I said, calm down. He's perfectly. And what she saw when she was sitting in the road room, because you could stare up the hallway to records, and then in the main lobby, because the lights were down, she saw a silhouette turn that corner and go up front like he always did. So, yeah, that's my story. Is that the Tipsy Police Department is still haunted, and it's haunted by the former chief.
You need to burn that place down. That whole story.
Well, I agree with you, but for other reasons.
Yeah. But I'm going to parlay this into something, and then we'll wrap it up. Which is that that goes to prove that's a perfect story, Mark. You couldn't have told it at a better time. Which is, this job is so good to you when it wants to be, and when it's good, you'll even come back after. You know, like it sounds weird, but you know where I'm going with it, which is that. This ghostly figure, he obviously loved the job that much. That kind of stuff scares the shit out of me. I just think the top costume this year for the Chiefs, especially after the year that they've had, the number one costume is going to be a vampire, because they suck the fucking life out of you. I've been holding on to that for an hour and 17 minutes.
The Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
With a badge.
Yeah. So we're going to end on a high note. So, folks.
Now, wait a minute. We need to get some social media interaction here. So if you're out and you're at your Halloween party, I want to see your best vampire with your badge on.
Bonus points.
So since you're a vampire chief, does that mean you're in white now?
The bonus points if you have a vampire outfit and you're holding a yellow brick.
And for those of you that are texting and emailing and whatever, communicating the yellow bricks, keep them coming. We love each and every one of them. We need to have the brick store, Nick. We need to put up. A spot on the Facebook page or one of them with the brick store. So yeah. We've been getting a ton of yellow bricks getting texted. Which is
that and yellow brick prick has taken off. Like the yellow brick prick is just hilarious. I don't even know why I said that, but I did. And it rings true. I'm really looking forward to your yellow brick, Lieutenant, from my old department. I really am. But listen, folks, it's been a pleasure. Make sure that you're taking good care of yourselves. You can get a hold of me at nick@rollcallroom.com. You can get a hold of Mark. I said get rid of. Jesus. I can't.
No one, you can't keep a co-host.
I know. We're going to have to talk about that too.
Mic drop.
Double mic drop. You can get a hold of Mark at marc@rollcallroom.com. And I turn it over to you to close us out there, Mark.
Officers, take care of yourselves. Again, we love our midnight crews. We love our day shift crews. Everybody's like, "Well, you have a special place in your heart for the midnight guys." Yeah, we do, because
that's true.
You're that special guy and gal that's sacrificing your life worse than anybody else. You're sleep deprived, you're tired, but yet you're doing this job because you want to be a fucking cop, and that's where all the epic fucking calls are. And God bless every one of you, and be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of your head. Again, if you're working that extra 8 hours, or you're getting mandatoried in, by golly, you are contract labor. So take that time off, spend your time practicing the 4 F's, family, friends, faith, and doing your favorite activities. Keep yourself happy. It's the best job in the world, but if you're not, if you're turning dark and you're stop doing those things that you love to do, then it's time to regroup. I'm not saying get off the job, just reevaluate things and take care of yourselves.
100%. All right, folks, take it easy, and we'll see you on the next one. Yeah, Mark, that lubricant is the top seller.
It's edible too, right?
Law enforcement suicides are at an all-time high right now. One of the causes is poor leadership within the law enforcement profession. Nick, the host of the Roll Call Room podcast, has written a book, Police Mental Barricade, A Survivor's Guide to Poor Law Enforcement Leadership. This book is a raw and powerful look into suicide and how poor leadership decisions contribute to law enforcement suicides. Buy the book now at mentalhealthbarricade.com and stop the stigma.